Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Collective Tarot reading for Friday, January 24th through Sunday, January 26th, 2025. This is Treya Tarot. Okay, I've already shuffled and cut the deck for today. I'm using the Empyrean Tarot this morning. So let's just get straight into it and see what comes up. Conqueror of Globes. Seven of Cups. The Magi. I do love that card. Look how beautiful that is. And then the Seeker of Cups. Okay, so we've got the Knight of Pentacles, the Seven of Cups, the Magician, essentially, and then the Page of Cups. So right off the bat, for me, these four talk about confusion, and they talk about movement. So waiting to get through the confusion before you start considering how whatever situation you're dealing with is influencing or being influenced by your feelings. So the interesting thing here is that this knight, so to speak, the Conqueror of Pentacles, is the only knight in the deck, in any deck, that waits, which I like for this because there's a movement, there's a trajectory, there's a definite forward moving situation for the people that will, that this is for those of us that resonate with this. There is forward movement, but that forward movement was marked or checked by a kind of confusion about what is and isn't real, or the ability to discern what is and isn't real. Sometimes the Seven of Cups can be read as multiple options or too many false options, but it can also be read as in the attempt to discern what is a false option versus what isn't. The Magician, obviously, the channel from divine into the earthly reality. So there's a manifestational quality here. It may be that something that was wanted, something that is wanted, that is ultimately the fulfillment of an effort of some kind, like a manifestation effort or a wish or something like that, is actually bringing up, I want to make sure I say this clearly. I'm having a little trouble formulating the way to say it, but this event, this situation is bringing up this confusion that is actually reliant, in my opinion, on information and awarenesses from previous to this situation. So the reason I say that is that the Seeker of Cups, that Page of Cups, is where we start. We have the layout of the situation, and then this is essentially the question. It's what am I looking at? What does my heart say? Where is the confusion actually? Most likely it'll be within the self for the people who are resonating, but Ten of Cups. Wow. I don't think I've ever pulled the Ten of Cups from this deck. This may be the first time I've ever seen that card. Ace of Cups. Whoa. Seven of Daggers. That worries me a little bit, but not entirely. And then the Hanged One, which is the Hanged Man. Ten of Cups is obviously familial. It's a coming together. It's joyful. It's fulfillment. Ace of Cups, a new offer of love or fulfillment, new creative opportunity. It's intuitively driven, so there's themes here of getting through this confusion with intuition. And then that Seven of Daggers right under the Magician, which is interesting. There is a manipulation present. And it may not be one of those types of manipulations that's particularly icky, but the Seven of Swords is essentially the card of manipulating to survive, essentially. Like in the original decks, the character is stealing the swords of the enemy so that they can avoid the argument. Not manipulating to assert will, but manipulating to avoid chaos or destruction. So the interesting thing about that 7 showing up amongst all these other cards is that there is this aspect here that could very well be about disarming an old way of existing, or disarming something within that is fueling this confusion. In a way, I almost see this as an internal manipulation, meaning it's not necessarily that any of us are being manipulated by people outside of ourselves, but that manipulation shows up as you're surrounded by love. Why are you tricking yourself with your thoughts? Why are you manipulating the truth internally in an effort to fuel a confusion that doesn't need to be there? So it's interesting, at least as a setup. The Hangman is always good because that's the delightful waiting for the information. So because this starts with the Knight of Pentacles and ends with the Hanged One, I'm pretty sure that the answer to the conundrum is actually just to observe and to sit there with the feelings that you're having, Page of Cups, and actually observe the difference between the internal landscape, those thoughts that may be manipulating you, and the actual external reality, which may very well be supportive in ways that you're not really even paying attention to, okay? The World. Actually, I'm going to try and center these. The Hierophant. Beautiful Hierophant card, too. So the World, opportunity, ends of cycles, changes, big changes. The Devil. It's funny. This column right here is the standout, which I find very interesting. It's almost as though here are the surrounding circumstances, and here is the pattern. And then Justice. Very interesting. Very interesting. So the opportunity that's presenting itself is potentially contractual, meaning it may be legal on some level. It may also be divine, because the Hierophant is the divine contract. So there seems to be some kind of actual bond here between you and the situation, or you and the person you're dealing with in this situation, or the people, or the job. This can, well, I would say this is probably relational because of all the Cups cards. It could be any emotionally driven situation. So keep that in mind. But the World is that end of cycles, new opportunities opening up, all elements present, right? The Hierophant is the divine contract. The Devil is the Capricornian influence of reality, indulgence, people's personalities, our hang-ups, things like that. And then Justice is the balance and fairness, but it's strong. It draws a line and says, do not step over this line, So the thing about Justice is, it's one of the ways we can form balance, but it's the more assertive way that we find balance, because it's not temperance. It's not about flow. It's not about, letting things slide. It's literally about drawing boundaries. So you have this sort of potentially really wonderful situation or occurrence that is being tempered by confusion and old thought patterns that are probably not accurate. But there's a sort of alchemy happening there. So with this row, you have the Magi, which is the alchemist, the Devil, and the 7 of Daggers. The actual difficulty here is in our minds. And so once you sort through that, the rest of it may become much more clear. Wheel of Fortune, another cycle-ending card there, right next to the World. The Wheel of Fortune is actually about karmic cycles and the beginnings and endings of those things. Conqueror of Cups, Knight of Cups, and then the Lovers. So the choice gets made. Your choice will get made. The confusion will not last forever. The end of the cycle comes when you attend to the thought pattern or the aspect of manipulation that's currently present. Okay. So Knight of Cups, movement towards that fulfillment. So there's definitely a choice here being made. The choice is my heart invested? Most likely, yes. So there's my heart is invested, so I'm making this choice. And obviously the Lovers can present partnerships, but it can be lots of types of partnerships. At its core, the Lovers is the choice to engage. At least that's how I read it. It's the choice to engage in a partnership of some kind. And it can be a work partnership. It can be a creative endeavor. It can be lots of different types of connections can be covered in that, but it's still the choice to engage. So making that choice to engage. Seeker of Wands, so Page of Wands, the High Priestess, High Sage in this deck, so gorgeous. And then the Three of Wands, going out there and getting it. So yeah, this is, all in all, I would say this cycle, whatever is being ended here and then chosen and then extended, in a different way, or moved forward in a different way, probably relates to physical situations, meaning locations, creative projects, anything that you're working on or processing through that's been long held. These are big passions, the Wands cards and the High Priestess. So there's definitely themes of security, emotional and mental security here. The Page of Wands tells me that this is thought about, what keeps me safe, what keeps me grounded, what keeps me steady. At the same time, it's what lights me up, And the Three of Wands is essentially about stopping the weight or actually moving out towards something instead of expecting it to come to you. So this is a literal step in the forward direction. So whatever confusions you might be experiencing right now will clear themselves up. They will. And they will clear themselves up when you are able and willing to see past your own thought patterns and the ways in which you tell yourself certain things that may or may not actually be concrete realities. So I hope everyone gets through this particular thought process, anyone that is dealing with this right now. And I hope you have a good weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. All right. Bye.